We'll start with the funding applications. The first one we'll do will be the Palace City Cup, and it's got Maulmeister.
So thank you very much, everybody. And so I am obviously representing the Mitchell Soccer Association. We are putting on a spring tournament called the Palace City Cup. It is scheduled for June 14th and 15th. So we have a grant application for $5,000 to help assist with tournament expenses. So if you look, obviously our largest cost is referees. And so just to kind of go back on history of other tournaments and things like that, as a lot of you guys know this already, we had a successful tournament in the fall, and it's been prior to that tournament, it was 2019 since the last time we had a tournament. So I'm running numbers based off of the fall tournament, and I think it'll be fairly similar as far as attendance goes. So that number is based off of what we were spending in the fall for referee costs. So that's by far, and that was $5,000 for referees, is what it ended up being. And I see you've got some things pulled up there from the fall tournament. So in the fall, we had 41 teams attend. We're hoping to get around that same number. Registration closes on the 25th, so we have 5 more days of registration. Right now we have around 25 teams or something like that, but my email box is getting full of people asking questions and stuff like that. So I do think that we'll have quite a bit more coming in. You know, everybody kind of waits last minute to register for tournaments sometimes. So yeah, we're looking forward to running another successful tournament, and appreciate you guys willing to help us out with some of our expenses with the grant application and stuff like that. So I think I'll just open it up to any specific questions.
What's the age group, Scott?
Great question. So it starts at U9 and it goes all the way to U18. So that's what's different about spring tournaments. Like in the fall, it's high school soccer. So in the fall, we only go through basically U13, maybe U14 in the fall. So in the spring, there's not high school soccer going on. So those high school age kids will be on club teams sometimes, and you can go all the way up to U18. So yeah, U9 to U18, and it does look like we're going to have like a high school bracket for boys, because I've had some older boys teams register, which is pretty exciting. So I'm excited about that.
Is this a weekend too that there's not other tournaments going on?
Great question. None in South Dakota. No soccer tournaments in South Dakota. There's a lot of events going on in Mitchell that weekend, that's for sure. But yeah, that's why we selected it. If you look at the spring calendar, it's jam-packed full, and this was like the only really feasible open date where we weren't conflicting with another city's tournament. So you have to kind of find that slot. We were going to try to do it early, like in April, but then you're running into weather issues and stuff like that. So we selected this date. So we'll review that. If it works, great. We'll keep it there. If there's another open date that seems to work better, we'll look at that. But we're going to go with this date for now. There is actually, I just remembered, there is actually a tournament in Rapid City that weekend, the same weekend. But we have a bunch of Rapid City teams coming to our tournament, so which is interesting. So,
any other questions for Scott? 2 days?
Yep, games will be Saturday and Sunday. We usually go till like 6 p.m. on Saturday, and then we try to obviously be done a little sooner on Sunday. Sunday's usually like 2 o'clock at the latest, maybe 3, depending on how many teams we have, how many games we have to get in those 2 days. So sometimes we'll do Friday night games, but we didn't have to do that in the fall, and I don't think we'll need to do that in the spring either. But that's always a possibility that we have some Friday night games for the local teams that are closer. So.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Thanks. Thank you. Next, we'll do the Palace City Mountain Bike Classic. We have to do that by phone, do we?
Yep, so use your mic so that they can hear.
Hello.
Courtney,
Hey. Yes.
it's Aaron in the Mitchell Sports and Events Authority.
Hey, how's it going?
We're all doing good. Why don't you take about 3 minutes and share a little bit about the Palace City Mountain Bike Classic, the grant request, and the expectations for the event?
Hey, hold on. I'm walking outside. All the buildings in Arkansas have metal roofs, so I can barely hear you guys. So, okay. So, I probably know who's sitting in that room, but most of you guys know me, Courtney from the bike shop. So this is our 4th year hosting the mountain bike race. So, as usual, my request for money from Sports Authority is for our timing equipment. We keep looking at purchasing the new equipment. I mean, it's like between an $8,000 and $10,000 investment that eventually we will look at fully. What we're doing this year with the money for our race is Emily Hone and I basically created an umbrella called MAC Area Events, where we're going to start running a lot of our events through from a nonprofit perspective, so we can put a outdoor fitness park in Mitchell. So right now we have over half of that park funded essentially around Cadwell, with a couple more grant requests to hopefully finalize it and get it going this fall. As usual, I mean, our race, hopefully this year, we're hoping to have around 100 riders. Last year, we ended up with 81 riders from all across South Dakota, Minnesota, and Iowa. This year, over 80% of my riders so far are from outside of Mitchell, so the Mitchell crews like to wait till the end to get registered, but I like to see an out-of-town presence. This year, the kids specifically will be racing free. The Palace City Peddlers are actually donating the cost of that to our project, and then so we can get more kids involved in our race. And we're trying to grow the race too and be the first of basically any race inside of South Dakota to put an e-bike class, which we think opens up a new basically group of riders and opportunity, because most races don't have e-bikes allowed. So, I mean, there's a lot of consideration of what type of e-bike these people have to ride, obviously with the restrictions changing with e-bikes allowed on mountain bike trails, period. So riders have the opportunity to do an e-bike class in 8, 16, or 32-mile routes. And then this year we have a kids strider race for kids 5 and under, and then we're doing a 6 and under half-a-mile race. And then mostly for selfish reasons, we added another class as our daughter gets older and is riding the trails more. We're doing a 4-mile race for kids 10 and under. So we're kind of just hoping to hit, and then we have a 16 and under class too that they can ride 8 or 16 miles. So we've added a lot more to our race this year with the hopes of getting a lot more riders, mostly so we can fund this project we're working on too. So year 4, I mean, I feel like this race keeps growing, and I don't know, still a great event. That's what I got.
Any questions?
Courtney, are you still going to use the link route? Trail?
Yeah, so we'll still do the same race route. So, but we're going to do it in reverse this year. So basically, people still have to ride on the road a little bit. There's no getting out of that really. But instead of going where people would go west out of Sandy Beach before, we'll actually go east. So they have to do all the climbing over in Camp Arroyo on that side first, over by Jerry Thompson's house and stuff. And I think we will loop them through Celia Pines just for that purpose. And then the kids will race in Celia Pines, because that will be, the kids will have to climb a tiny bit out and then race Celia Pines, just because that's such a big flat circle. Like, that's good for the kids. And then that'll be the same race route for this year, but obviously next year, once the lake starts getting dredged, we'll have to change it. So this year we wanted to ride it one more time. What we've done the last 4 years, just do it in reverse. So
Anything else? Thanks, Courtney.
Thank you, Courtney.
You.
all right, thanks guys. Bye.
Next, we'll go to Blarney's Amateur Baseball Classic and Jason Christensen.
New event this year.
Basically, the team maker group put it
Can you
together.
turn the mic?
Basically, it's an event that our team maker group put together. We're going to run it at the same time as the Harps baseball tournament going on with the youth tournament. We were limited into 5 games, so 10 teams, and then some things went on with Mitchell having a team, so then we brought in Sioux Falls, so now we have 12 teams. And we have a lot of interest. I will tell you, if this goes well this first year, we'll probably look at this as a 2-day event with the teams that have reached out to us. And I'm nervous of, volunteers putting it on. We're going to put it on just basically like a state amateur. Everything you see in the state amateur will be the same thing that we do there with the bingo, the 50-50, and things like that. I do have volunteers for the grounds crew and things like that. Just trying something different. We had a sponsor approach us and talked about it, and so that's why we went with this. And then our committee met, and our committee asked me to fill out this information and see what you guys thought of it. As far as rooms, I have no idea. As far as profit, I have no idea. But when it's done, I will give you information whether you deny it or accept it. I still will let you guys know how we did on things, but. That's where we're at. I do know there's the Sioux Falls team. It's Charlie Dubanowski's team. They do have a team playing in the Harps, so I know there's some rooms that they're coming. I'm not going to tell you differently. They are coming no matter if the Amateur Classic was going on or whatever, because they have some 10 and under kids playing. With that being said now, the Harps might end up moving to a 2-day instead of a 1-day. And that was told me last week because they have an influx of teams, and I don't think they can get all the games done in 1 day. So that could end up being a Saturday, Sunday too. So, but yeah, that's. I don't know, Tim. You're on the committee. Is there anything else I need to add?
No, they're all good. I mean, area teams, I know, from Platte and Canova and the usual teams. So I think it'll draw a lot of people. And with the kids event going on at the same time, it's going to be a big weekend out there.
So you have some 8 teams too?
Yeah. So Mitchell Aces will play the Sioux Falls Brewers. And then when we started that, it opened it up for other 8 teams wanting to. So apparently during amateur, that's their bye week. No one plays Father's Day weekend. That's where you always have the cross rivalry games. And so my thinking behind this was a 1-year fundraiser. Do it over at Drake because we're losing the amateur tournament this year. So do it over at Drake. It's turf. They're going to Brandon to play on turf. All the managers don't want to play on turf. They do not want to do it. They want to play at Cadwell Park. And then they've all said, this is so awesome, do this every year, because then now we can play our warm-up or our get ready for the amateur tournament there in June and then come back and play in August. So as a basketball coach, I found out a lot in the last. I mean, I think this is going to be a great event. I really do. I think it's something that'll grow, and it's good for our community. And and like I said, I don't know about the rooms because we have it on that weekend. First of all, it's summertime. Second of all, you have the Harvs, and I know the Harvs is going to be. I think the tournament they had in spring. I think Charlie said he had 42 teams. It was really, really big, and he's already at that now, and they barely could have that as a 1-day tournament. So it's a good thing. I mean, I will say this: the city of Mitchell has a lot to offer because it seems like things are really growing in the last few years. Just on the events that I put on, my 3-on-3 tournament this year was 118 teams. And I broke a record by 19 teams there. Our pickleball was really good too. So it's a good thing that we got going on here. That's all I have on that. Any questions for Jason?
Profits go to team makers?
Yeah, we'll go all back to scholarships for all the sports.
Just a reminder to please turn on your mics so you have a green light.
Any other questions for me? All right, we'll go to the next one. Arts in the Park will have Jordan Hansen.
Yep, so this will be the second year of Arts in the Park. Last year we had around 10,000 people, we think. That's just an estimate from what the other Vendors had told us this will probably be the last year we ask for money. I know, but this is not supposed to be a forever funding mechanism, and I think we're going to get some sponsors this year, and then we're going to do some other fundraising efforts, and then this will hopefully be completely self-sufficient after that. A lot of people came last year. I think a lot more come this year. We have, I want to say, around 150 vendors. Last year was just over 100, right around the same number. So I think, and we still have 2 more months to book people, so it'll be another big year.
Questions for Jordan?
I guess I was going to ask you about it shows you lost, what, 2,300 or something last year? Is
I don't know, hopefully it wasn't that bad. No, it's like,
that right?
well, no, it was like around $800. But when you count the 1,000 we got last year, I don't think we added that in there. So we were just barely above break even last year.
Okay.
Unless you have a different one. Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is projected. So
Yeah.
this is so that's where we're planning on being this year, and we haven't counted any sponsors or anything. Well, this was last year. Yeah, that was last year's. Sorry, I thought that was your question. So she must have the wrong numbers or something.
Well, I was just going to ask you. You're asking for 1,500, right?
Yeah.
I was wondering if you wanted to ask for more. You should.
No. I don't think we'll ask for more. I think we're going to go out and reach out. There are a lot of people who have asked for sponsorships. We said no last year. We didn't want to like commercialize it or whatever. But there's enough people where we're going to only put sponsors in one location, and they're all going to have plenty of views. So we want to make it a fun family event, and not just have advertising everywhere. So
Yeah.
we'll have just enough to make it work. So 1,500 will do.
Okay.
Any other questions for Jordan? Okay, we'll go to the women's state softball tournament. I think, Aaron, you talking that?
Yeah, I guess we just tabled that. The committee decided to table that until this meeting. I guess I do have feedback. We can either talk about it now. I reached out to the state association just regarding where funding possibilities are for local associations when hosting a tournament. Is that something we want to share now, or I mean, basically,
Were they right on with the numbers? That
they didn't share any number specifics. They basically said the city hosting the softball tournament is where the profit's going to be, in your hotels, in your eating establishments.
So it hasn't
The
changed.
men's and women's historically have not done gate. They said their youth softball tournaments do a gate. They said it's based on the city, whether or not the local association runs concessions or if it's the city's park and rec. They also said that the local association could do, I guess, a swag tent or booth where they sell merchandise, t-shirts, hats, koozies, things of that
That's
nature.
risky too.
yeah
But basically, the profits to the local association
is
is very minimal in any city.
Yeah.
It's the city, it's the city benefiting from the event happening. The
But
teams.
Mitchell could choose to do a gate if we want, right? They're not saying you
No,
can't.
they didn't. Yeah, I would agree with that. I think they would have to, obviously, that'd be approved through the softball board, the state board. But historically, it said gates have not been taken for.
That's the problem you run into. It's kind of like soccer. Soccer doesn't do a gate, and so because I asked, why don't you guys ever do a gate? There's that's kind of included in your fee, and I know we never did gates back then either. So if they would do a gate, the chances of us ever getting if no one's doing it, the chances of us ever getting a state event here for softball would probably be very, very slim, because that'll get around to all the teams. And they'll be like, why would we come here? We have to have a gate. And I see what you're saying. It's a moneymaker, but that's just something they've never did for whatever reason.
So they did share Watertown and Aberdeen concessions are run by their local league. But again, in this case, it said cities such as ours and Sioux Falls, it's run by the Park and Rec.
So my question, since it's an adult tournament, maybe this is more for you. The concession stands are run by the Corn Palace, right? Or is it through who? Jeremy Nielsen. Okay, it's you guys. that's an adult tournament, would they consider using their alcohol license out there to sell beer during that event? Because I'm just throwing that out there too, because then it's an adult tournament.
We don't have an alcohol license for selling.
But you'd have to use yours,
Gotcha.
or use like we're using Blarney's. Is
Yeah, and a conditional use permit, I think it's probably right if they wanted to have
A special event.
or a special
event.
excuse me.
Yeah.
And I think the city is able to add licenses. We just haven't done it for that location. I know the current license is tied to the courthouse property, but I'm sure it would be easy to look at.
because
That might be some income.
that's gonna be your income. I'm just gonna.
That's there.
The limitation we have then is finding
You-
concessioners that are at least 18 years old.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna bring up. That's because being out there watching, that's all kids working it. So, but that is something too to consider if they want to make some money. I mean, I would consider that since it's an adult tournament. I mean, we are going to do it at ours. That's why Blarney's is doing the special beer license.
Sounds fair.
And with that being said, too, a lot of times you might be able to get Porter to come in. Like they used to sponsor a beer tournament that we used to run many moons ago.
Or service organizations that want to make some, have a little fundraiser. I just wish there was a way to reward the softball association in Mitchell for hosting it.
Because it is a
I
lot
think
of work.
It's not, it's just not Mitchell. I think it's each city that hosts a state tournament. Obviously, yes, there's other ways to award your local association, but as far as from the state level, there's not an opportunity that I can think of. This is Stacy Morrell, just that local association can make money from the tournament.
I wonder if they have a hard time getting other towns to take state tournaments.
It just depends what like fundraising.
Sioux Falls will take them, I'm sure, anytime. But
When we ran the men's league one here, my cousin and I, we had our wives. I remember filling up we got these beer tanks from it would have been Campbell's Supply back then, and we threw beer in there and ice, and our wives sold the beer, and that's how we made money.
Yeah, those distribution companies, they'll bring a trailer that's like a reefer,
Yeah.
and they'll fill them up, and you just
And then
whatever.
the concessions, I don't remember who ran them back then, but they let us do the burgers and brats. And I mean, they did the concessions. I just remember this was this is 20 years ago. But that's because we didn't make money off gate. There wasn't a sports authority. And then that money went back into the softball association, men's league softball association. Because I think we, way back then too, that playground equipment that's out there, I think we helped put money towards that playground equipment that's between the softball fields. I haven't even looked if it's still out there. I think it is. So I will say this, it's a tough sell for Emily and them to try to put this on with no money because they do not give you anything. Because when we had this money last week, I started calling around to some of the guys that I used to play with and stuff, and they said, no, it hasn't changed. And I mean, honestly, if I was still playing softball, I wouldn't mess with it. I'd just rather drive to Huron or Pierre or Rapid and play for the fact that it is a lot of work, guys. It's a lot of work to put it on. So.
Well, when I get back to the gate, I realize you might not get it again in the future, but just like in the NSIC in baseball, you don't pay gate anywhere you go, but when you go to Augustanas Field, you pay.
Yes, you do.
And I don't ever hear anybody complain about it. They're just happy to be there.
And the other way to look at it too, Dave, is maybe if we charged gate, maybe the other town would say, "Oh,
They're doing it.
now I'm going to do it."
Yeah.
Maybe there's just never been a first one. Sometimes when you have the first one, then
I mean, even if it's $5 for an adult and kids are free or whatever, at least they'd get something.
Well, and originally we tabled it to try to give them the information, right? Is what we're kind of talking about, is to help Emily and that group just have all the data they can about what they want to do in the future going forward, right?
all right, should we go to the next one? Special Olympics basketball tournament. I think what was it we had before? It was a bocce ball or something we were supposed to have, or what?
State Fall Classic.
State Fall Classic, which was a $10,000 ask. And basketball is we're going to have it for 26 and 27, and that's a $12,000. So the $4,000 difference, what $2,000 each year, is what the Special Olympics is asking for, which it's during a good time. It's in March when the hotels want it, and the hotels are full. And I think it's probably no brainer, but we can discuss that later on.
Yeah, basically, like you said, basically the ask was State Fall Classic got relocated to Rapid City because of the bocce courts. Good positive feedback from this year's state basketball tournament, Special Olympics, so the foreseeable future, including 26 and 27 to host state basketball, and that comes with $2,000 each year additional, I guess, request to cover the expenses of basketball compared to the state.
I think the hotel guys would rather have it in March, wouldn't you?
Yeah, so we're giving up the Fall Classic and
Yeah, and having basketball.
doing basketball instead.
Yeah, and then probably this year at some point they will submit either a 3 or 5 year grant request for basketball
To continue doing every
27. So this request is just specific to
20,
what we've already agreed to. It's
Yeah.
just
Because we've got 27 budgeted in there already. 10.
yeah, for 10,000.
Yeah.
All right, so go to the approval of the minutes from the April meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion by Dave, second by Jason. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against nay. Motion passed. We'll go to the financial report.
Motion to accept.
You want to show it? Motion go over it first. Or you want a motion?
I'll run through it here. Some exciting numbers to share for this month's collections. So far for 2025, the award checks that have been written is $63,250. That leaves a current available fund balance of $86,750. We have an update for the collections that were submitted in March for the month of February. That number increased to $16,173.50. All collections have been submitted. And then the collections that were submitted in April for the month of March is $19,182. And all those have been submitted as well. So a year-to-date total collections of $70,845. That equates to 35,423 room nights. And our year-to-date room nights comparisons to 2024 were up 7%, which is 2,467 room nights. 2023 were up 4.3%, which is 1,517 room nights. 2022 were up 0.6%, which is 210 room nights. 2021 were up 20.2%. 2020 were up 7.7%, and 2019 were up 12.4%. And so far, Sports and Events Authority has awarded 26 funding requests for events that have equaled 50 event days.
How's that compare to years past?
Well, I guess total-wise, I don't have the year-to-date information for the number of events that were awarded. But this would be the total amounts for the past years.
We've done 26 so far.
Yeah.
$10 less than last year.
We got 7 months
You got
to go.
6 months.
Yeah,
6 months to go.
I think we'll pass it.
You know, event months, here's the breakdown as well. Try to get it so you can. Again, our months, January, February, March, even into April. Those are our priority months that we're looking for. That's been 21 events out of those 36, or 26, excuse me. I guess just again for informational purposes, we did do a little more in-depth breakdown of the types of events. More sports or event specific per se. So that can be reviewed whenever you guys have time or at your convenience. This would be throughout the entirety of the Sports and Events Authority.
You give your motion if not.
Jumped the gun.
Huh?
I jumped the gun before, but yeah, go ahead. Motion is
Ryan has a motion to approve.
I'll second.
We got a second. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Against nay? Motion passes. Now we will go to evaluation forms.
Okay, 5 evaluation forms that were submitted. I believe those are included in your packet. I'll have them up here on the screen as well. First one, the first ever Dakota Awati Challenge Volleyball. That was October 11th and 12th of 2024. Event was, they rated it a 4, above expectations. Total spectator attendance was 200. Number of participants, 300. I believe they had 15 volleyball teams. They estimated 160 plus room nights. The event this year will be in Mitchell at the Corn Palace as well, October 10th and 11th, and they'll also be incorporating cross country into this, I guess, challenge as well. So they'll have volleyball the 10th and 11th, and then cross country will be Saturday the 11th. SEA awarded $4,200. That went to the officials, workers, and awards. They provided the rental and service rate. So they, I guess, lost or had to submit $1,595.95 is what the Corn Palace kept out of that, which included your gross admission and then the charges that they had for the event. Next one was Hanson Classics. Girls was January 17th, boys was January 24th. Rated at a 3. 32 teams. They estimated 40 to 50 room nights. SEA awarded $3,000, $1,500 for each classic. And they provided their financials. Net profit $1,638. And then a breakdown of their expenses and income. Next was the Dakota Awati Challenge. This was the basketball tournament, January 30th, 31st, and February 1st of 2025. The event met expectations. Schools reiterate schools and fans appreciate the availability of hotel rooms and eating establishments. Spectator attendance for the overall for the event was 1,038, which was a 19% increase from the past year. 16 total teams, 8 girls, 8 boys. They had 5 archery teams on Saturday of the event, and then the hand games, they had 27 hand game teams, which is on Friday of the event. They estimated right around 900 total room nights, which would be about 300 for the 3 nights, up 8 to 13% from the previous year. This year's event will be February 5th, 6th, and 7th, or excuse me, next year's event, February 5th, 6th, and 7th of 2026 at the Corn Palace in Mitchell. SEA awarded $5,000. helped pay portions of the awards and additional rooms for the referees. And then they provided a breakdown as well. Gross ticket sales minus the expenses for the facility. They had a $1,944.35 profit from ticket sales compared to rental expenses. Then Knights of Columbus, they put on the state's, the Special Olympics State Basketball Banquet. That was March 29th. Event was above expectations. Went very smoothly. They get the Knights of Columbus dedicate a lot of their time. They get sponsorship from Dairy Queen as well, help from Dairy Queen. Total attendance was 700. They provided right around 550 room nights. Obviously, the next 2 years and going forward, this will be here in Mitchell as well, a part of that state basketball tournament. SEA awarded $1,500, used to purchase food, beverages, and supplies. Knights of Columbus, obviously, this is a not-for-profit event. They did provide the expenses for the amenities of the event. The last one, Lucky Devils Adult Hockey Tournament, April 11th through the 13th. Rated the event a 4, above expectations. Very successful year, great weather, tailgating went to a higher level. They had donated burgers and brats. Teams were able to golf and go to the bowling as well as play hockey. 600 to 800 total spectator attendance. 308 participants, 22 teams. Breakdown of where those teams came from: 4 Mitchell, 4 Sioux Falls, 3 Huron, 2 Wisconsin, 2 Sioux City, 2 Aberdeen, 1 Minneapolis, 1 Windham, Minnesota, 1 Pierre, 1 Watertown, 1 Fargo. Estimated hotel room nights, 165 to 200. Next year's event, April 10th through the 12th, 2026. SEA awarded $4,000 to help cover the expenses of the ice time. Profits from the event, they sponsor the 8U youth hockey here in Mitchell, and also commented as the funds grow, plan on helping with building improvements as well. And they provided end of the event financials there. And I'll just jump right in. Play easy. Again, just some numbers that I want to share each meeting. Event organizers within the platform, it's gone up to 736. Now, these are event organizations that are able to submit RFPs and look for destinations and venues for their events. Destinations, they added 2 since the last meeting, so they have 322 destinations. Mitchell Sports and Events Authority being one of them that are able to view those RFPs and have communication with the event contacts. Total RFPs within this marketplace, there's 211. This is, again, kind of like the event Facebook. We made a post here at the beginning of last week that just was able to, our next Sports and Events Authority funded event is Memorial Weekend in Mitchell. So you just put together a little post, and then that way those event organizers and other destinations can see the success of your destination. Our specific Mitchell Sports and Events Authority microsite, I guess just on the back end, we've had a few leads that were matched to us since last meeting. Horseshoe, I continue conversations. I've had a couple conversations with the American Junior Golf Association. I think, again, like I mentioned last meeting, once Wild Oak renovation, and that way we have 2 premier golf courses in Mitchell, then we'll be able to potentially consider this one. Horseshoe, martial arts conference, volleyball tournaments, cornhole, long distance running, volleyball. They were looking for 1 facility with 8 to 11 courts at 1 facility. Horseshoe, they were looking for a facility, I think right around 50 to 60,000 square feet, concrete, air conditioned. Again, same with the cornhole, bigger space than we're able to provide them. And I guess some final numbers based on, these are year to date, since we've been a part of the Play Easy platform. We've had 42 unique visitors that have visited the Mitchell Sports and Events Authority microsite. That's accounted for 1,169 views. They viewed our facilities. We've had 23 visitors, 217 views. The Corn Palace has been viewed the most. 10 visitors at 32 views. The event performance, so this is each time an event microsite is created, each time the Sports and Events Authority awards funding, a microsite is completed. And we've had 336 visitors, right around just under 80 since last meeting, and that's accounted for 1,236 overall views. We've had 30 registration clicks based on those microsites. We've had 31 ticketing clicks, and the DW Culver's Girls and Boys Classic continued to be the most visited microsite, 47 visitors, 147 views. And I guess, unfortunately, we still have not had a hotel booking through this platform. So I guess a little bit, again, as I shared last meeting, been educational. You know, I know we have not had a successful lead, but again, conversations, like I said, I've had conversations continued with AJGA. I reached out to an Up Dog Challenge. It's dog frisbee. The event organizer is based out of Florida. They don't have much activity up around us for that. So again, it didn't make sense for them to look into the near future for us to host one of those, but potentially if that increases, we're on their list. But again, it's been educating to review the RFPs, see what other events, more regional and national, look like, to see if we can't land one of those hopefully in the next 6 months, 11 days. So if there's any questions, if not, upcoming events, that was on the, you guys can just review these at your convenience as well, but we did highlight SEA awarded funding Memorial Weekend in Mitchell this coming Saturday, May 24th, Southside Mitchell Main Street, and then Saturday, June 7th, the MAP Triathlon starts at Hitchcock Park, starts and finishes at Hitchcock Park.
All right, should we go into executive session? We have to shut our mics off now?
No, you just need a motion.
What's that?
Get a motion to get into executive session.
We need a motion to go to executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Who all said it? Motion by Tim, second by Dave. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Against nay? All right, we'll be in executive session. We're back on. Okay, go back to the funding applications. We'll start with Barney's Amateur Baseball Classic.
I'd make a motion for 2,500.
Second.
Oh,
Okay, we'll have a motion by Dave Hellwood for 2,500 and second by Dave. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Against nay, motion passes. Palace City Cup 2025.
I would make a motion to award $5,000.
Motion by Tim,
Second.
second by Kevin for 5,000. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against nay, motion passes. Palace City Mountain Bike Classic.
make a motion for 1,500.
Motion by Brian,
Second.
second by Jason for 1,500. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Against nay, motion passes. Arts in the Park.
I'll make a motion for 1,500.
Motion by Marie,
I second it.
second by Brian for 1,500. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Against nay, motion passes. State of South Dakota Women's Softball Tournament.
I make a motion for 2,500.
I'll second that.
Motion by Kevin, second by Marie for 2,500. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Against nay, motion passes. Special Olympics Basketball Tournament.
I'll make a motion for 4,000 to cover 2026 and 2027.
I'll second it.
Got a motion by Dave, second by Dave for $2,000 each year. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Against nay, motion passes. Next meeting, June 10th. It's hard to believe it's June, but June 10th. We are adjourned.